My name is Maeve Tomlinson and I'm the candidate for the Green Party in Sutton and Cheam. And thank you for inviting me and having the opportunity to speak today. I would just like to say that I've lived in the area for most of my life, so that's about 30 years. And also what the Green Party stand for is imagine a political system that puts the public first. Imagine an economy that gives everyone their fair share. Imagine a society capable of supporting everyone's needs, and imagine a planet protected from the threats of climate change now and for the generations to come. That's the world we want to create, and we believe we have the means to do it. In Sutton, I'm concerned about the incinerators being built in Beddington on the Metropolitan Open Land, and I support the Stop the Incinerator campaign. And our Green Party candidate for North Croydon has taken the court case out in his name with support from the local community fundraising for his cause. I'm also a member of Keep Sutton Cycling, which is a London cycling campaign group, and also for Sutton to keep our NHS public. So another main call for me for the Green Party is ending the charade called austerity, which is leading to the gap between rich and poor expanding. And in the Western world, we actually have the largest inequality. So wages are lowering, and we have a working poor who have to rely on benefits to supplement their income, even though we are the 5th wealthiest country in the world, and yet there are many relying on food banks even. So I support the Green Party for the common good. Thank you. Because at the moment the railways are being privatised, and we want to return the railways back into public hands to stop profits being put before passengers. By doing this, we'll be able to introduce an immediate cut in fares of 10%, which will give passengers a much needed financial break. With those kind of policies, we'll be able to redistribute funding of transport further around the country as well, and also with our other policies that will decrease sort of inequality by sort of taxing the wealthiest, we'll be able to have more funds to spread into other projects to make to improve the infrastructure with transport elsewhere. Yeah.
Thank you.
The Green Party would like to scrap Trident because it would save like £100 billion. This is a lot of money that could be distributed elsewhere. And what was the other bit? So we would scrap it and
Just how much money could we save? I think you just
and yeah, we'd save 100 billion if we managed to scrap. Because it's just a vanity project, really. It was 25 years ago that there was the Cold War, and now the threats to defence our threats to the country have changed, and it's all to do with more like cyber terrorism that we should be investing in rather than nuclear weapons. We do have enough money. We are the 6th richest country in the world, and yet we have the highest inequality in the Western world, as I mentioned before. So there's ways that we can redistribute that money, and one way is for a wealth tax on the top 1%. Those with assets of more than 3 million affects about 300,000 people in the UK. Taxing the assets of the wealthiest at a rate of between 1% and 2% would raise approximately 21 billion to 43 billion a year. And the Robin Hood tax on the banks, taxing transactions, closing tax loopholes so that company profits earned in the UK were taxed here, and a progressive income tax. We would introduce a new higher rate of income tax at 50% for incomes above 100,000 per annum. And our sort of fully costed manifesto will be out in about a week's time as well, if you want
Thank
more
you, Emily.
figures.
You could draw to a close.
Yeah.
And
The party wishes to end austerity because it disproportionately affects the poorest and the most vulnerable. We will end austerity and invest in the public sector because shrinking the size and quality of public services through austerity is an effective redistribution of income. People with lower incomes rely much more on public services than people with high incomes. And in the UK, the richest 10% own 70% of total wealth, and the great majority of the income gains from the crisis have gone to the wealthier. Living standards are also declining with food banks. 900,000 people relied on food banks for food in 2013 to 2014, up from 100,000 in 2011 to 2012. And despite GDP growth over the last decade, the poorest tenth of the population have seen a fall in their real income.
thank you.
Well, the reason that I chose to join the Green Party because I felt their policies were in line with what I was campaigning for locally with the campaign groups that I'm in, and so I wasn't finding any issues with morality because I chose a party so that there was a match to what I believed in and what I want to do. To make a better society. Yeah.
Thank you.
The Green Party, one of our policies is actually to scrap tuition fees, and we also, our largest group is the Young Greens, who have increased membership by as many members as we had as a whole party last year. So they have a very strong voice within our party, and so I'd urge all young people to go out and vote Green, and so trust can be restored in politicians, and we can guide the future according to the young voice.
Thank you. And next.
Yes, I support recall, and so does the Green Party.